Hi everyone, this is Anna Finch from Finch Press Publishing. I hope everyone's had a good day. And for those of you working at home, I know what you're going through because I am now working from home and trying to get the planning done for the schools for online learning, just in case they keep the schools shut in Victoria. Hope not. I'd prefer to be in an actual workplace rather than at home, but it's tough working from home and trying to schedule things myself. So I was originally planning on doing this video on the actual day, but because I was busy, I couldn't. So this video is to basically celebrate World Poetry Day, which was on the 21st of March. Now, the UN recognises the unique ability of poetry to capture the creative spirit of the human mind. Now, they consider it important because poetry is like the main part of oral traditions, in human history. And before we started writing things down, our stories, our histories was passed on orally through song, through poems, and it was passed down through the generations, which meant things changed with each verse. Each time it was spoken, it would change and the story would become more and more unique and different from the original. And a lot of cultures do oral traditions, or pass down stories orally rather than writing things down. Like in my mum's family, pretty much everything we know about our family history is passed down to us verbally or orally through generations. So poetry plays an important role in human history and in creativity as well. According to the UN, one of the main objectives of World Poetry Day is to basically support linguistic diversity through poetic expression, and to basically give endangered languages the opportunity to be heard within their communities. So for Australia, it's meant to celebrate and encourage the languages of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, who are a minority in this country. It's meant to encourage them. I know that there have been translations of Shakespeare's famous sonnets into, I think, the Noongar language. Sorry if I'm not saying this right. It's basically meant to encourage oral tradition, to promote the teaching of poetry, and to basically connect it with the creative community. So what I'm going to be doing is actually reading one of Shakespeare's sonnets and actually breaking it down and explaining the meaning and some of the themes. And I'll also be reading a poem that I've actually written that is actually going to be in my novel, Voiceless. So, I'm actually going to read Sonnet 130 by Shakespeare. Let's go. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's leaf hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed. And every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou art, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade. When in eternal lines to time thou growest, so long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. So this is, now it's believed by most scholars that Shakespeare wrote this about a man, either a male friend or possibly a lover. We have no idea because this was hundreds of years ago. It's about love. It's about the love they feel for a person. And love is like summer, according to this. So the summer, especially in Australia, it's hot, it's beautiful, but it's also dangerous. And it basically goes throughout the whole thing saying life is short, okay? People die, people grow old and people die. That's a part of life. People are here for a short amount of time and they leave us. But but we need to hold on to love as long as we can. Now, in the actual poem, in the more modern English, he basically says that he's writing this poem in order to make his love or his lover or his friend last forever. Because if something's written down, and as long as someone reads it and knows it exists, then it's eternal. The beauty, the joy, the love that he has for someone is eternal as long as it's remembered, even long after they're dead. And that's beautiful. It really is. A lot of his poems are like that. They're quite romantic. Now, another poem I'm actually reading is, I thought it was Sonnet 130. It wasn't Sonnet 130, it was, I think, 118? Oh, Sonnet 18. I got mixed up. I got mixed up because I'm actually using sonnets, or I'm referring to sonnets that Shakespeare's written in my actual novel. So I got confused. So the sonnet, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, is Sonnet 18. I'm actually going to read Sonnet 130 because I think it's very interesting in the way it's written. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, then why her breasts are dun? If hair be wires, black wires grow on her hand. I have seen roses damasked red and white, but no roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfume is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground, and yet by heaven I think my love as rare as any she belied with false compare. If you've seen the Doctor Who comedy special, then you would know what this one is. Basically, he's making comparisons between his love with another, like with something else. So, Snow with her skin color, like her, like. So the word dun refers to brown. So he basically is comparing her physical body with something else. So her hair with wires, with black wires. Now, so like how he goes, he's comparing her to something else. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. So coral, they're saying that, well, the mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. So the sun was something bright, light. So their eyes are dark. Coral's far more red than her lips red. So he's saying that her lips aren't bright red and beautiful. If snow be white, then why are her breasts dun? Basically talking about her skin color, because back then white Very white and pale skin was considered beautiful, and other shades weren't. If hair be wise, black wires grow on her head. So he's comparing her hair was probably dark and thick, probably curly. I've seen roses damask red and white, so streaked roses. But no roses see I in her cheeks. So he's seen roses of different shades and colours. So when he's saying no roses, I see no roses in her cheeks, he's basically saying that there's no blush on her cheek. Again, could be referring to skin colour, because generally speaking you can see when people get embarrassed or their cheeks go red if their skin is pale. And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. So basically her perfume smells a lot better than her breath. So she has bad breath. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music has a far more pleasing sound. So he likes to hear this woman speak, which is unique for the time. He likes to hear her speak, but he knows that music sounds a lot better than her voice. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. So he's never seen a goddess in real life. He's never seen the goddess walk. His lover, said the mistress, when she walks on the ground. So she's not a goddess. She's not a goddess. He knows she's on the ground. She walks on the ground. She's at level. And yet, by heaven, I think my love is rare, as any she belied with false compare. He basically thinks that his love is rare, as any she belied with false compare. So, as any woman who's been misrepresented by ridiculous comparisons. Basically, he doesn't want people to compare women to something else. He wants people to see their lovers in a realistic way. That love is something beautiful, and it shouldn't be based on the skin colour or the voice or the smell or whatever, and that people should just love them, which I think is beautiful. So, lastly, I'm actually going to read a poem that I've actually written for Voiceless. This is a poem written by, this is my own poem, but it's from this particular poem was in the story created by the Prince character. I'm not going to give his name away. But basically the character plays the role of the prince in, like, you know how you got the prince in The Little Mermaid? So that character, he's not a prince in this. He's just a normal teen. But I thought I'd read it, and I would give you a bit of an insight into what one of the characters is like. I once looked at the sky. Repeat. I once looked at the sky and only saw in greys the light of the sun custard monochrome rays that blended and fused with the cold dead stone and the fractured concrete paths that I walked along. With each step I took, it shattered further. The walls closed around me until I could no longer see the difference between the walls, the floor, and me. Trapped within a never-ending cycle, a life that was no longer mine, but theirs to command and consume. Suddenly a glimpse of light appeared, a hand stretched out of the dark and pulled me out of the shadows. And through their eyes I could see the colours of the sky and a future in front of me. Okay. I want you to tell me what you think about that poem, and what you think this character was feeling, what this tells you about this character. So the prince character, what is he like, and who do you think he's talking about? Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope everyone stays safe with this current situation. But yeah, I hope everyone stays safe, and good luck.